Time to play another rapid game, 15-10. Last time we had a great game with the Pirc Defense, and this time it seems, oh, wait. Someone had asked for me to play the Sicilian Defense, and I forgot. So we get another Pirc Defense game, unless they transpose into something else. Okay, so d4, knight f6, and maybe we play the check Pirc. Let's see. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so knight c3, still pretty standard, and now they could go for the classical setup, just like they played in our latest game. They could play the Austrian Attack. They could try to play something like the 150 attack, or we got also the burn variations. I'm gonna go bishop g7. This is already Austrian Attack, and we covered this idea with c5. Now, I didn't play the Sicilian Defense, but now if you look at it, guys, it looks a lot like we started with e4, c5, and we're playing like a sort of Sicilian possession. So that's why I always tell you, regardless of the opening that you play, it doesn't hurt to review games where other people play different openings. That way you get ideas, and you never know when you could transpose, or you could use ideas from one opening into another one. Bishop b5, this is theory. They could have taken, or they could have played bishop b5. Now, I simply block. If I remember correctly, they could play e5, then knight g5, things like that. It gets complicated. But like I've told you before, the good thing about playing these openings or these systems is that we don't have to memorize a lot. Also, if we know where our pieces go, we should be fine. And third, since they're not so popular, we're bringing people into our territory. Now, d takes e5, it's not theory. Typically, you see e5. And whenever you see these guys in your openings, you got to ask yourself, why is it that this is not the move, right? Let me take a moment. I know this is not theory. I don't know why, but we have enough foundation after over 200 lessons to understand it. So d takes e5. I'm thinking if I just take, they have to take me back. Then queen a5, that's a fork. We've talked about forks many times. And the only way to defend that knight is to bring it back. So with my queen on a5, I could then take on e4. Knight is pinned. I'm hitting that knight like 3 times. So that should be the reason why. And guys, I mentioned at the beginning, oh, I want to play the check Pirc. I didn't play it, but this idea, actually, we learned it on lesson 51 when we covered that lesson. So let me take. This is pretty much forcing, and then queen a5 with that fork. Okay, so there you go. They had to. They thought about it for a while, but they had to. And now we got that fork. Again, if they want to save the knight, they have to bring the knight right back. And now I'm going to double check. Like, I already think this is the move, but I'm going to double check. Am I missing anything? Do I have something better? These moves, of course, they're possible, but this has to be the move, guys. 94. And we're threatening so many things. This is like dream possession if you play these openings with the fianchetto. So I'm not even sure what they should do now. Probably bishop d2. Yeah, I think if they do bishop d2, it's not so bad for them. Yeah, bishop d2 is the move. Now, of course, I'm thinking queen c5, trying to get to f2, but my knight is hanging. What if I go bishop takes e3 and then queen f2? All right, in this case, we know this is a critical moment in the game. We have to, whatever decision we make is going to dictate the remaining of the game, right? So should I take the bishop? Should I take the knight? Or should I take with my bishop and just collect this pawn after? No, I'm thinking bishop c5. Let's say they take with the pawn, queen c5. They could go something like queen e2, then knight c3. If I go knight d2, they take back. And if I take the pawn, I like my position, but nothing exciting. If I go knight c3, pawn takes, bishop takes, they move the rook, nothing exciting either. Or knight c3, b takes e3, queen c5. I mean, we're gonna be up a pawn, that's for certain. All right, let me go with this. We'll see. Yeah, Yeah, we'll see what happens. I wanna preserve my bishop. Very powerful on that diagonal. We'll see what happens after. After this, it's gonna be pretty straightforward. The game is pretty much simplified. The pawn structure is gonna be destroyed. So this moment, I want to make sure that I use my time and that I consider the different candidate moves. Now I think my opponent made a mistake. They should have taken with the pawn, but now I get another piece. They gotta take back. I take with a fork. Now, of course, they could just move the king, but then I don't know. I don't think taking with the bishop was a good idea. Besides, if I'm white pieces, I'm losing. I don't want to get to an end game. I need to keep my pieces to try to complicate the game. Now, check or simply take. Now, if I take, not only am I getting my pawn, I'm leaving them with isolated pawns, but also they cannot castle. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, maybe take with the pawn, and then my rook could come over to the d file. I like my queen here. My queen is pinning the knight and is hitting the rook, but they could just castle after. Yeah, let me just take on c5. And again, this should be, we're up a couple pawns and our pawn structure is healthy, theirs is not. The only thing that we need to do is develop this knight, and we're not going to be behind in development anymore. So I'm thinking if they don't do anything crazy, I'm going to castle, develop my knight, and then there's no way I'm losing this. Main thing in my mind, simplification. Yes, it's cool to leave their king in the center. If I can attack it, I will attack it, but I'm happy with just trading pieces. If I trade queen for queen, his rooks, my opponent's rooks for my rooks, my knight for knight. This is just like we covered in the rook endgames lesson. This is going to be a very easy king and pawn endgame. Now, free pawn, do I really want it? I don't think so. Don't be greedy, guys. You don't know how many games I've lost because I go for that other pawn. So here, my intuition tells me, ignore that, play knight c6. They still cannot castle either way, and you're winning. Don't go ahead and take the pawn. They castle, and then all of their pieces are active. Well, knight will be hanging, but they could prepare it. I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't want to give him any counterplay. Still, it's tempting. Nah. Okay, I'm going to go knight c6. Now we are both equally developed. Knight d4 is in the air. That's a different story with a tempo. And if they prevent it somehow, maybe c3, I'm just going to castle. And then I am ahead in development. So let me double check. Yeah. So guys, look at this. I'm castled. King is in the center. I'm thinking I want to open up the center. All right. So they're trying to be aggressive. I don't really mind it. Queen d5 is the first move that comes to mind. But then they could castle. Okay, so queen d5, they castle. f5. Let's say knight g5. I trade queens. I'm okay with that. But there's no need. How about queen c4? Like, I really want to keep that king in the center, because if I strike the center and I bring my rooks, the game is over. Imagine my rooks here and these pawns gone. So queen b6 or queen c4. What I like about queen c4 is that I keep looking at this pawn. Okay, so let me play queen c4. Of course, they could do something like knight d2, but worst case scenario, I just go back and then play queen b6, or I could simply go queen b5 or queen a6. All right, they went back. Understandable. I do understand why. So let me go back to c5. Nothing wrong with repeating the position one time. And now I'm going to go queen b6. Still, they don't have this move because they haven't castled. Their rooks are not connected. So now queen b6, they cannot kick me again, and I will continue to improve my position. There's even some idea. No, doesn't make sense. Maybe e5, maybe d5 first, then e5. Okay, so now they do want to castle like this. The question is, can I prevent it? Queen b5, queen a6. Okay, I'm gonna play queen b5. Let me see, queen b5, a4. Okay, I'm gonna play queen a6, guys. I like b5 because I feel like it's a little bit more active. but queen a6 cannot be wrong. Yeah, let me go queen a6. Again, just trying to prevent him from castling. I want to keep that king in the center. e5, bring my rooks in. Let's see if we can make it. Let's see if we can make it work. And yes, they could play something like queen e2, but that's exactly what I need. That's my plan B. So that's why it's so easy to win when you are ahead in material. Simplification is just working against them. And notice that even if white says, you know what, I'm losing, only way to win is to create complications, let me play a5. If they did that, then my knight finds a very attractive square. So let me just go ahead e5. Let me see, e5. I know they want a castle. So should I play e5 now? E5, they castle. I don't have e4. I almost have e4. Okay, what if I play queen c4? I'm attacking the pawn, and then e5, e4 is going to be way more effective. Okay, let me do this move with a tempo. I'm hitting the weak pawn. Again, weak pawn, so annoying. If they go rook c1, the other weak pawn. So again, guys, I know I went back and forth with the queen, but notice that they're not making any progress. I'm moving my queen a lot. They have been moving their knight a lot. So don't be surprised. Now they have two options. Either they move the knight again so that the queen defends, or they simply ignore it and they give me a third pawn. Maybe that's the better way to go. Castle, let me get the pawn, and then activate the rooks and try to get some counterplay. All right, so they went with castling. I think I will have done the same thing. At least they get some activity. Now, I'm not even gonna think about it twice. I'm gonna take this third pawn, and again, I'm not concerned because my king is not in the center. My knight is not like it's not active. So now, do I go check? I get away with it with a I get away with a check. Yeah, let me do that. This was attractive and leave that square for the knight, but it's nice to gain that tempo. Check, and then I get to activate my rook. Now this rook or this rook? I think I'm gonna bring this rook. I'm thinking rook c8, rook b1, hitting my pawn. I cannot play b6 or the knight falls. Okay, so I'm gonna go rook a to c8. Of course, I need to consider this move, but I think knight a5 defense offers the trade of rooks. Again, I'm winning by 3 pawns, so simplification is great. And then even though my knight is at the edge, eventually it could come over to the center. All right, so queen f. Okay, let me think about this. Queen b2 came to mind, but then they could do something like this to try to take. I'm not concerned actually. If they go like this, I think I could take the pawn, rook b7. Do I want him to get to... Okay, going back to f6, that is my first instinct. Knight e4 gets activated. I don't like it. If I go queen b2, rook b1, I take. They get to the 7th rank, but then I have... No, I don't even have knight d4. So I definitely don't like them getting to my 7th rank. I could just go queen a4. I could continue to pin the knight, but again, they get activated. So let me just go queen a4. I'm not on an open file for them to attack me with a rook. Also, notice how my pawn structure is pretty healthy and this pawn is not weak. They could go after this one, but it's well defended. I could play e6 d5. We should be fine. I like this idea actually, e6 d5. It's gonna... Number one, I mean, on one side, I prevent these f5s. I don't worry about them attacking my pawn through the semi-open files. But if I play e6, then this becomes weak. Okay, knight e5 or knight d4. This f5, every time we move a pawn in chess, a weakness is created. In this case, e5 becomes available. But then, do I want to go here or do I want to go here? Now, important, I know, guys, a lot of you are thinking, if you see a move like f5, you're like, oh no, I'm going to get checkmated. Look, it's just a pawn. I'm well defended. I don't have to worry about that, okay? So don't feel like you need to do anything drastic. If you don't feel like giving the pawn, fine. Now, I'm really trying to visualize this. Knight d4, they take on b7, knight on f5. They cannot take anything else. My rook could go after to the 7th rank. And if I go with that variation, knight d4, queen b7, knight f5, pawn to g4 so that the knight leaves and they collect, well, that's weakening their king too much. So knight e3 with a fork, I take on g4 after. So I think this is good for us. So do I want to do that or just play more, a little bit quieter? Nah, let's go with, wait. Knight d4. What if they did something like this, pinning the knight to the queen? Rook c4. They take on e7. I take on f5, hitting the queen. Okay, let's go with that, guys. At least we calculated. It's not like we're going with it and just hoping that we don't get in trouble, right? 95 came to mind first because it's defended, it's in the center, but this one seems to be more energetic. And at the end of the day, it is a fork. Now, are they going to try to take advantage of the pin, or are they just going to go for the pawn? Even if we lose that pawn for nothing, we're winning by 3 pawns, so it's easier to take risks like this. Okay, so exactly like we calculated, notice that they cannot add more pressure to the knight, okay? I mean, we're not pinned anymore, but also I need to be careful with that. If they take, I'm thinking to take with the h pawn, keep my king safe, but even this move is interesting, opening up my f rook. All right. Now, this is, I don't want to play mechanically. Maybe this is an option to just, I want to take like this. I take, is it too crazy? Because then I'm threatening check, right? So if I take, then queen e6, pawn to e6, queen takes d4. Then check. If they go away, I take on f2. Oh, and there's so many interesting tactics. So f takes. I mean, they could always take. I don't care. Okay, this is extremely solid. I'm not going to get in trouble ever. This one, a little bit riskier, but it gives us chances. If I'm playing in a tournament game, guys, I think I would just take with this. There's no way I'm losing this. I'm up pawns. I have activity. But let's have fun. And again, we calculated. Check. Queen d6, I was calculating that. With this move directly, they're still defending this move. But still, we're going to have fun. Now, there are no more checks. Just like in the other Pirc Defense game that I showed you recently, I'm making sure there are no silly checks. Now, queen c2 is going to help with this. Is there anything else? Oh, how about this move? Then queen c2. They go back. Check. Okay, rook c2 or queen c2. What to do? So queen c2, they gotta move the knight. Then I have knight e2, knight f4. All right, let's do it. And look, this is exactly what you guys don't need. You're winning by so much. You don't need these complications. Your opponent, yes, they need to make the board a tactical battlefield because they're losing anyway. So in these complications, anyone could make a mistake. If I had kept it solid, then we were not gonna be, they were not gonna have so many tactical opportunities. So let's see. I still trust that we're better, but we have to be very accurate. We're getting low on time. We have the increment 10 seconds, so we shouldn't freak out. But in a serious tournament game, we have to consider all of these things. Okay, so they defended. Now, I really like this move. Oof, is this getting interesting or what? Oof, if my queen were here, I could even do rook takes, and then take. Okay, check. Oh, if my queen were here, no, I can't. I still can't. Okay, what if I go like this? Queen is there. As much as I want to have fun, I go here, pinning the knight to the rook, but then if check, okay, I could just go rook f7. All right, just being aggressive. The only way I can see them defending that knight is queen e3. King cannot come any closer because of the knight. There has to be a tactic building up. Tactics have to be in the air. Our piece is so active. In this case, close to the king. Tactics have to be in the air. Okay, check first. I understand. Should I play this or should I move up? If I move up, they don't have any more checks. I mean, they could do something like this, but then I block with a tempo. Okay, let me get on this g7. If I could avoid being pinned, I'm going to avoid it. Okay, they took that pawn. It's like they just don't care. Do I have this? No, of course no. Okay, take. Let me see. No checks, no silly checks. So take, take, take. Okay. Okay, at least here I get some time back with these checks, so I don't have to worry. So I'm doing this because now after this check, I'm planning to pin myself. They're probably gonna go with this move, and then I have knight f4. Not only attacking the queen, of course, blocking this, but I'm also threatening checkmate myself. Now, if after rook f1, knight f4, they take because my rook is pinned, and I cannot take them, well, I have this back rank checkmate idea. So let's see if they let us do that. And again, guys, we need to calculate. And you see, yes, we have the increment. Okay, can I just go? Okay, let me go here. Okay, I think they have no more serious checks. Only check here, and then we go, okay, knight f4. Same thing, that knight f4 is a good resource. Now I'm threatening checkmate. They need to do something about it, and that gives me time to sort of put my pieces together. So we have to be very, very careful. Okay, they already got that under control. I like the idea of just keeping it simple. Queen f5, if g3, then check through the diagonal. You're in trouble. Yeah, let me consolidate this. Let me put my pieces together. Now that I played it, I don't like it so much. But you know, it feels nice to have my pieces defended. The good thing is that they could never, even if they have the rook here, they can never play g3 because of this move. Okay, let me get away from... Okay, check. Yeah, let me get away from that pin. Again, I'm not concerned about this. Again, there are pins everywhere, but I have this easy way out, unless I'm missing something. Now we're up an entire knight. Okay, either that move. Yeah, let me do this move. We had anticipated it. And then, guys, checkmate or even checkmate. I think this one is cooler. So let's finish it with the knight. Now, quickly here, the evaluation, 86% accuracy, not bad. No blunders, 2 mistakes. So let me quickly, guys, just go over the move. So basically, this is theory. C5 is theory. Bishop d7. D takes c5. You see, I told you. I don't think this was theory. I didn't think it was, well, it was a blunder. Now we need to understand why. So bishop e5, that seems to be the way to go. Then knight e4, pretty straightforward. And knight c3. So here I was debating, should I take with the knight? Should I take with the bishop? So it seems like we did the right move. Then taking on c3, good. All of this pretty straightforward. Castled, then queen c4. These are the moves that I think we maybe made some inaccuracies, moving the queen back and forth. Well, the engine is backing us up so far. Queen a6, queen c4, then we get the pawn, good. Queen d4 check, it's good. Queen f6 was better. Then rook c8, okay, logical move so far. Then knight d4, best move, excellent. Queen e4, rook c4. Okay, so you see here, look, we went from, let me see, 337 if we take with the h pawn, f takes g6 if I take with the f pawn. If you remember, I told you if I'm playing a tournament game, I take with the f pawn. No counterplay for my opponent. And this is the first mistake. And they take on e7. You see, this is the thing. You get into these sharp positions, you start making mistakes, the game just goes away. So better, guys, you have the advantage already. Keep it simple. H takes g6, end of story. So queen c2, then hopefully our opponent made a blunder. Check, rook f4, great move. Queen e6, we move the king, give me the knight. Okay, and I'm going pretty quickly, guys, because this is pretty straightforward. Then king h6, good. Knight f4, this move, it was always in the air. I'm so glad we found it, threatening mate. And then queen f5 also, it was not the best move, but again, it felt nice to have my pieces working together. Rook f1, king g7, g3, and then the final checkmate.